Imagine a hot summer day, the year 1797, somewhere in England's Devonshire. The poet Samuel Taylor Coleridge, sick and in pain, takes opium for relief. He falls asleep in his chair, drifting into a deep, vivid dream. Waking 3 hours later, he frantically grabs his pen and begins to write. In his mind, a complete poem, as if he'd seen it in waking life. Hundreds of lines of verse, which he remembered with astonishing clarity. Thus was born Kubla Khan, one of the most mystical and beautiful poems in English literary history. Coleridge claimed it wasn't just a dream, but a vision, a perfect, complete work, fully formed in his mind. What was it? Just the incredible fantasy of a sick man? Or something more? A transcendence of the ordinary? But before we dive deeper into these mysteries, listen. If you enjoy what we're talking about and are ready for the most unexpected discoveries, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like this video. It really helps us keep going. By the way, we're always curious. What city and time zone are you watching our lectures from? Let us know in the comments. Now, back to Coleridge. His story, and thousands like it, makes us wonder. What if sleep isn't just a brain reboot, not just a chaotic stream of images, but a genuine portal? What if, when you close your eyes and sink into the darkness of night, you're not actually shutting down, but rather plugging in? Plugging into something far greater than your bedroom, your planet, even your universe? Here lies a person, gently snoring in bed, while in their mind, entire worlds unfold, worlds far more real than they appear at first glance. Skeptics would immediately say, "Nonsense, these are just neural impulses, random associations. The brain is processing daytime information, that's all." And you know, I would have said the same thing. About 200 years ago. But what if science has reached a point where even the wildest ideas of ancient shamans and mystics are beginning to find confirmation? Imagine you're an ordinary passenger, boarding your personal, completely free Quantum Express every night. Final destination? Unknown. Perhaps another version of your life, or maybe a universe where you're a billionaire unicorn and your cat is president. Funny? Yes, but only until we start looking at it through the lens of the latest scientific discoveries. Our wild yet scientifically grounded journey begins right now. We're about to uncover what lies beyond the veil when you disconnect from the familiar world. What if sleep isn't just a rest for the mind, but an entry point into a completely different reality? Get ready, because after this podcast, your dreams will never be the same. 1248 BCE. Picture this: the opulent halls of Pharaoh Ramesses II's palace. The heat of the Nile drifts through carved windows, and the air is thick with the scent of incense. A young priestess with amethyst-colored eyes bends over a scroll covered in intricate hieroglyphs. This was the Chester Beatty Dream Book, one of the most ancient documents deciphering nocturnal visions. For the Egyptians, a dream wasn't just a chaotic stream of images. No, it was a message from the gods, a map of the future, a warning or a blessing. They believed that in sleep, the soul left the body and journeyed through other dimensions, bringing back crucial information. Just think about it. More than 3 millennia before our time, people already saw dreams as a bridge between worlds. Listen, if you're already enjoying how we're breaking down this incredible topic, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us make more videos like this. Also, we're very curious. What city and time zone are you watching our lectures from? Let us know in the comments. Now, back to our ancient travelers. You see, for a long time, the scientific world, armed with microscopes and logic, merely scoffed at these fables. Neurons acting up, the learned men would dismiss, observing shamans who communed with ancestral spirits in dreamlike trances, or prophets whose visions remarkably came true. They considered it primitive superstition, the product of uneducated minds. But what if these superstitions were just a different language to describe phenomena that we, with our modern but limited tools, are only just beginning to understand? Imagine the ancients were like those first cartographers, drawing sea monsters on uncharted territories because they couldn't explain them. They didn't know the words quantum entanglement or multiverse, but they felt intuitively understood that something greater lay beyond their visible world. In dreams, they saw not just random images, but perhaps real coordinates or echoes of other versions of reality. Shamans, priests, oracles, all of them, essentially, were the first explorers of parallel worlds. Their navigation instruments were simply different. And of course, like this video, it helps us reach even more curious minds. Also, we're very curious. What city and time zone are you watching our lectures from? Let us know in the comments. Anyway, back to our poor Descartes. Were his dream revelations just coincidence? Or something more? Listen, it's obvious. Anyone who's ever peeked into a physiology textbook would exclaim, dreams are just neural impulses. The brain, like a giant overloaded server, simply processes the day's information at night, defragmenting its hard drive, discarding clutter, forming memories. Our nocturnal visions are a byproduct of this process. Nothing more. Just a fireworks display of random images, sounds, sensations. A kind of internal cinema, where the tired brain acts as director and neural chaos writes the script. This is the trap of consciousness. But what if this trap isn't a trap at all? What if these impulses aren't just junk, but keys? Keys to a dimension you never even suspected. Imagine your brain isn't just a radio receiver, tuned to one single, familiar reality wave, but an entire powerful radio room, which, when you sleep, when conscious filters switch off, begins to pick up other frequencies, other signals. You know what's most interesting? During REM sleep, when we experience our most vivid and memorable dreams, our brain operates completely differently. The prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for logic, critical thinking, planning, it goes on break. It rests. But the limbic system, our ancient emotional part of the brain, conversely activates fully. It's like taking off a strict director's suit and letting the child within you run wild in the office, doing whatever it pleases. The result? Our dreams are often illogical. They're absurd, emotional, symbolic. Physicists might say, "See, I told you, just a mess in the head." But I tell you, what if precisely this mess allows us to peek beyond the boundary? Because when our usual reality filter switches off, when the brain stops insisting on strict rules of cause and effect, it becomes open, flexible. It can gather information, seemingly from nowhere, or from what our waking consciousness simply ignores. It's like looking at a painting through cloudy glass, and then suddenly someone wipes it clean, and you see not just smudges, but an entire landscape. Those errors, that strangeness of dreams, it's not a bug, it's a feature. It's not deception, but rather the removal of reality's mask. Because who said that our ordinary waking reality is the only true one? Perhaps the brain in sleep doesn't deceive us, but on the contrary, shows how limited our waking perception was. It shows that the world is much bigger than we thought. Imagine, spring 1935, Vienna. Scientists, it seemed, had already conquered the world with reason, categorizing everything into neat boxes and atoms. But then Austrian physicist Erwin Schrödinger proposed his famous thought experiment about a cat in a box. And not just any cat, but a cat that is simultaneously alive and dead until we look inside. Seemingly absurd. Physicists racked their brains trying to reconcile this with our intuitive understanding of reality. It was that very moment when our cozy, unambiguous world began to fray at the seams, hinting at something far more complex and manifold.
Похоже, Фридрих Мерц не демонстрирует должного уважения к восточным землям, и именно это, как полагают некоторые наблюдатели, выступает в качестве катализатора мощного протестного движения, которое, по всей видимости, вызывает тревогу и беспокойство среди правящих партий. Давайте проанализируем это движение, которое, возможно, ставит под сомнение устой политической системы. Фридрих Мерц, лидер христианских демократов, предположительно, вновь подтвердил это. В своем интервью телеканалу МДР «Актуэль» он, возможно, в очередной раз продемонстрировал, насколько существенно отличается восприятие реалий берлинским политическим сообществом от повседневной жизни жителей Восточной Германии. Он рассуждает о доверии между государством и гражданами, но каждое его слово, по мнению многих, пропитано недоверием к жителям Востока. Создается впечатление, что Мерц, вероятно, воспринимает их как людей, которым требуется объяснять базовые принципы демократии посредством незначительных уступок и назиданий. Именно такое покровительственное отношение, как отмечают наблюдатели, разжигает гнев в обществе. Мерц, хотя и заявляет о стремлении к конструктивному диалогу с партией «Альтернатива для Германии», наблюдатели отмечают, что фактически он, возможно, формирует из нее образ противника, предположительно, для того, чтобы отвлечь внимание от собственных затруднений. Что же он демонстрирует на самом деле? Возможно, это паника. Чистая паника перед грядущими изменениями, которые он, по всей видимости, уже не в силах остановить. Люди на Востоке давно поняли, что Христианско-демократический союз под руководством Мерца – это, вероятно, уже не народная партия. По мнению некоторых аналитиков, это скорее инструмент истеблишмента, который, как считается, склонен к заигрыванию с левыми концепциями и, возможно, отклоняется от консервативных ценностей. Слова Мерца о понимании демократии – не что иное, как, возможно, проявление высокомерия. Для него демократия, как это видится некоторым, предположительно сводится к принципу: тот, кто разделяет наши взгляды, имеет право голоса, а тех, кто выражает несогласие, возможно, следует изолировать. Но жители Саксонии и Тюрингии, по всей видимости, больше не готовы это терпеть. Они, как можно заметить, осознали, что настоящая демократия – это возможность возвысить свой собственный голос. И именно это они делают, как отмечается, громко и отчетливо. Давайте посмотрим на цифры. В земле Мекленбург, Переднее Померания. Альтернатива для Германии, согласно данным, взлетает на первое место с ошеломительными 38% поддержки. В то же время ХДС с, возможно, скромными 13% блуждает где-то на обочине. В Саксонии и Тюрингии ситуация не лучше. Социал-демократы в Саксонии набирают всего 8,5%, а в Тюрингии – 8,8%. Это послание, как можно интерпретировать, свидетельствует о том, что жители Восточной Германии высказали свою позицию, и, вероятно, их терпение подошло к концу, а доверие, по мнению многих, было подорвано. Годами людям давали надежды, которые в итоге, возможно, разбивались о скалы пустых фраз и проваленных реформ. Один из, вероятно, разгневанных пенсионеров, участник протестов, как сообщается, сказал: «Так Мерц держит нас за дураков. Эта берлинская элита вокруг Мерца и фон дер Ляйен понятия не имеет, насколько тяжела наша жизнь с мизерными пенсиями и постоянно растущими счетами за энергию. Новейшая идея Мерца – пенсия «Ранний старт» и накопительная пенсионная система. Звучит неплохо, не так ли? Но подождите. 10 евро в месяц для детей с 6 лет должны каким-то образом сформировать их капитал. Это не социальная концепция, это, возможно, откровенное издевательство, как полагают критики. В то время как миллиарды, по некоторым данным, утекают за границу, инвестируются в военные конфликты, а немецкая промышленность, как отмечается, сталкивается с серьезными трудностями, Мерц пытается убедить восточных немцев, что они могут разбогатеть на фондовом рынке с помощью нескольких монет. Восток борется с низкими зарплатами, взлетающими ценами на энергию и инфраструктурой, которая, как видно, буквально разваливается на глазах. И что предлагает Мерц? Символическую политику, которая предположительно никому не помогает. Он обращается с людьми, возможно, как с детьми, которых нужно приучать к экономии. Но ведь именно восточные немцы, как никто другой, знают, что значит тяжело работать, и все равно быть, возможно, брошенными политиками на произвол судьбы. Растущая поддержка альтернативы для Германии – это не признак радикализма, по мнению многих аналитиков. Это проявление, возможно, здравого смысла. Люди на Востоке не глупы. Они бдительны, опытны и политически грамотны. Они, как считается, видят игру Мерца насквозь и предположительно готовы положить ей конец. Таким образом, альтернатива для Германии предположительно набирает силу не вопреки политическому курсу Мерца, а, как считают некоторые наблюдатели, во многом благодаря ему. Граждане, возможно, сыты по горло правительством, которое их игнорирует, партией ХДС, которая, как утверждается, предала свои идеалы, и социал-демократами, которые ассоциируются только с, возможно, блокадой и застаем. Вот вам пример. Вспомним конец января. Город Эрфурт. Выступает Фридрих Мерц. Целый час он говорит о защите данных, цифровизации и регуляциях Евросоюза. Это темы, которые, возможно, вызывают аплодисменты в Берлине, но на востоке страны они, предположительно, не интересуют ровным счетом никого. Ни единого слова о проблемах, которые действительно волнуют людей в Саксонии или Мекленбурге Передней Померании. Миграция, безопасность, экономические перспективы. А затем на сцену выходит Марио Фойхт, высокопоставленный член ХДС из Тюрингии, и заявляет: «Мерц относится к Востоку серьезно». Серьезно? Это все равно, что сказать, будто следующий Октоберфест пройдет в Грайфсвальде.
How many scientists have seen solutions to their problems in dreams? How many ordinary people? Warnings of future events? You have a dream that seems like ordinary fantasy, but then, day after day, week after week, and suddenly fragments of your nocturnal vision begin to manifest in reality with unsettling accuracy. Coincidence? Skeptics will exclaim, shrugging. Self-fulfilling prophecy, psychologists will add. But we say to them, what if not? What if your brain, when you sleep, has the ability to peek into a neighboring library of infinite realities? It browses its shelves, accidentally pulls out a page from a volume that's about to open in your life, and gives you a kind of spoiler for tomorrow. As if you're receiving a message from your future self, brief, sometimes encrypted, but astonishingly accurate. But here's the most interesting part: lucid dreams. This is when you realize you're dreaming and can control everything happening within that dream. It's like playing a video game and suddenly realizing that it's you, the player, holding the joystick, not just an observer. You can fly, change scenery, talk to characters who obey your will. Materialist physicists might say, that's just your subconscious at play, using fantasy. But what if your subconscious isn't just a fantasist, but an operator? An operator controlling an avatar in another dimension? Imagine, you are the player here, in this reality. And your dreaming self, which travels and does as you please, is your avatar in one of thousands of parallel universes. You control its actions, explore its world, gather information. And these symbols you see in your lucid adventures, these strange landscapes, these unexplainable encounters, perhaps they aren't just symbols, they're real coordinates, coordinates to other worlds, where you consciously, albeit in a dream, make your interdimensional excursions. Imagine a February night in 1869. St. Petersburg, a scientist's study, cluttered with papers, filled with formulas, index cards bearing element names. Cooling tea steams gently. Dmitry Ivanovich Mendeleev agonizes over his table, trying to systematize all known chemical elements. He can't do it. Tired, exhausted, he simply collapses onto the sofa and falls asleep. And that's when things get interesting. He sees a dream. All the elements arrange themselves into a clear, logical system, perfectly like bricks in a wall. He wakes up in a cold sweat, frantically grabs a pencil, and writes down his famous periodic system of elements. Before we continue diving into these amazing stories, if you like what you're hearing and want to see more such wild yet fascinating journeys, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us continue our research. And by the way, what city and time zone are you watching our lectures from? Let us know in the comments. Listen, that's just the brain processing all the information it's accumulated, our inner skeptic will say. Oh sure, just processed it. As if you left a pile of ingredients in the kitchen, woke up, and there on the table was a ready, perfectly served 10-course meal. Yes, Mendeleev worked hard on it, but the final brilliant puzzle piece fell into place precisely in a dream. This isn't just data processing, it's something else. Or take, for instance, the summer of 1816, which went down in history as the year without a summer. Torrential rains, gloom, a group of friends cooped up at Villa Diodati by Lake Geneva, Lord Byron, Percy Shelley, and a then 19-year-old Mary Godwin, the future Mary Shelley. They were bored, reading ghost stories, and jokingly agreed each would write their own, and Mary couldn't come up with anything. Nothing. Then, one night, she had a nightmare. A mad scientist bending over his creation, breathing life into a dead body. Remember how lightning illuminated the room and the monster opened its eyes? That very dream became the genesis for one of the greatest Gothic novels of all time. Frankenstein. Another coincidence, just inspiration, someone might scoff. But imagine that inspiration isn't just a random burst of creativity. What if it's like trying to find the right radio station, twiddling the dial, and then suddenly you catch a crystal clear signal playing the very song you were looking for? A pure signal. Without interference, directly from another dimension? What if these individuals, while in deep sleep, actually connected to some kind of universal information field, or even more interestingly, briefly glimpsed a parallel reality? A reality where Mendeleev had long since completed his table, and Mary Shelley had already written her Frankenstein? And they received this information, literally, as ready-made solutions. This isn't just intuition. It's like being sent blueprints for an invention that doesn't yet exist in your world, but is already realized somewhere else. Incredible? Yes. If 2,000 years ago, people intuitively understood that dreams were something more than just random images, and even tried to make their journeys safe, what prevents us today from looking at this from a different angle? Because if dreams really are portals, as we've discussed, into other realities, into the multiverse, then, damn it, every portal should have its rules. And most importantly, safety instructions. Imagine you're going on an expedition into uncharted jungles. You wouldn't go there in pajamas and slippers, would you? You'd take a map, a compass, gear, maybe even a guide. So why are we so careless about our nocturnal journeys, which are arguably far more vast and profound than any earthly expedition? The first and most important rule, which, by the way, ancient priests understood perfectly, is preparation. Not the kind of preparation where you just brush your teeth before bed. No, we're talking about mental, emotional, and even physical preparation, but on a more subtle level. Our dreams are a mirror of our consciousness. If you go to bed filled with stress, anxieties, unresolved emotions, what will you get? Chaos, nightmares, portal malfunctions. It's like trying to launch a rocket when its engine is clogged with rust. Therefore, rule number 1, purity of intention and clarity of mind. This means you should try to go to sleep with a positive mindset, with thoughts of creation, not destruction. You might say, "What nonsense. I'm just tired." But believe me, even 5 minutes of conscious relaxation before bed can change the entire course of your nocturnal journey. Try meditation, deep breathing, or simply visualize something pleasant. Create a kind of launch pad for your interdimensional flight. Rule number 2, navigation. In the ordinary world, we have maps, GPS, a compass, but what about in dreams? There, our inner compass is awareness. Have you heard about lucid dreams? That's when you realize you're dreaming and can control what's happening. Materialist physicists will immediately say, that's just controlling your imagination. But I'll say, what if it's control over your avatar in another reality? What if it's not just imagination, but the ability to set a course, not get lost, and return? Imagine you're in the driver's seat, not just a passenger being taken somewhere unknown. A lucid dream is your steering wheel. It's what allows you not just to passively observe, but to actively participate in the game. If you don't practice lucid dreaming, start by keeping a dream journal. It's like compiling a flight log after each journey. Record all the details, emotions, colors, smells, plots. This trains your brain to notice patterns and eventually to wake up within the dream. Rule number 3, safe return. You know what's scariest? Not getting lost there, but losing connection with this reality. Sometimes, very vivid dreams can be disorienting, especially if they're repetitive or contain highly emotional experiences. You wake up unable to tell what's a dream and what's reality. It's like getting off a very long flight and feeling the ground beneath your feet differently. To prevent this, it's important to have anchors. In the morning after a dream, always perform some rituals. Drink water, wash your face with cold water, do some exercises, talk to loved ones. It's like a system reboot, returning your assembly point to the current reality. And remember, everything you saw, heard, felt in a dream. It's an experience. But this reality is here and now. Don't let dreams completely consume you. Because, damn it, this is your multiverse, and only you decide how to travel through it. Imagine, Ghent, Belgium, 1865. Friedrich August Kekulé, a great chemist, sits racking his brain over the structure of benzene. Years of struggle, thousands of experiments, and nothing. A dead end. And then one day, exhausted, he dozed off by the fireplace. And what did he see? A snake biting its tail in an endless circle. Bang! The benzene ring. This nocturnal hallucination revolutionized chemistry. But was it just a hallucination? Or did his brain, desperate to find an answer in our reality, journey somewhere else? Listen, if you like what we're telling you, and you can already feel your brain cells working at full capacity, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us make more deep dives into the strangest corners of consciousness and the universe. By the way, we're really curious. What city and time zone are you watching our lectures from? Let us know in the comments. Now let's get back to our snake biting its tail and other mysteries of nocturnal journeys. So what if Kekule's snake wasn't just a metaphor, but a report from a mission to a parallel reality where the solution had already been found? For a long time, we thought dreams were just a kind of trash bin for daytime impressions. You know, the brain just tidies up, sorts memories, discards what's unnecessary. A kind of closet cleaning of consciousness. And of course, that's part of the truth. But what if there's something much more to it? What if dreams aren't an escape from mundane daily life, but an active research mission? Imagine you're stuck on a problem, at work, in relationships, in life. During the day, you're banging your head against a wall, going over the same options. Your conscious mind works like an old, reliable calculator, multiplying known numbers. Physicists would immediately say, it's just the subconscious processing information. But at night, your brain transforms into a super powerful quantum computer, capable of running millions of simulations simultaneously. It doesn't just process information, it searches for it. It searches in the library of infinite possibilities, in the repository of all possible versions of yourself and your situation. Like a spy, it infiltrates parallel worlds where you've already made that very decision, where you chose a different path, where circumstances unfolded differently. And why all this? To bring back to you, from these other realities, not just information, but experience. A ready-made solution, inspiration, a new perspective. It could be a melody you've never heard, a formula that suddenly comes to mind, or a feeling of absolute clarity about a complex life dilemma. Your sleeping mind, like an experienced artifact hunter, returns with a bounty that helps you here and now. We don't just rest in sleep. We don't just reboot. We actively learn, solve problems, gain access to resources that are unavailable to us in our waking state. It's as if you sent your personal doppelganger to 1,000 different universities simultaneously to gather all the necessary knowledge and bring it back to you in the morning. So the purpose of these nocturnal journeys, these wanderings between worlds, isn't just entertainment for the subconscious. It's an evolutionary mechanism. Your bed is now not just a place to rest, but a launch pad. How to start? It's very simple. Begin with the most important, most powerful tool, a dream journal. Imagine you're Indiana Jones, and each of your dreams is a newly discovered treasure cave. Write everything down. Immediately after waking, before the images scatter like old parchments, details, emotions, colors, smells, everything you can remember. This journal isn't just a notebook. It's a map of your inner cosmos, your personal logbook as a traveler between worlds. It will help you notice recurring symbols, personal codes, and even entire portals that lead to specific places in your parallel reality. Within a few weeks, you'll start to see the same themes or characters reappear. This is your brain sending signals, pointing to important areas. Next, practice. Throughout the day, consciously ask yourself, am I dreaming right now? Look at your hands. Count your fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Try to push your finger through your palm. Try to read some text. Look away and read it again. Does it change? If you do this in a dream and the numbers blur or the text changes, congratulations, you've just realized you're dreaming. It's like checking your ticket at the theater of reality. You understand that the show around you is just a projection. Such reality checks help your consciousness transfer this skill into the dream world. And there, you'll be able to become aware. And that's where things get most interesting. Before falling asleep, clearly formulate your intention. Not just I want to have a dream, but I want to become aware in my dream and fly over the city. Or I want to meet my inner wise person and ask them how to solve a particular problem. It's like booking a route with a personal guide who will lead you along the most interesting paths of parallel worlds. Repeat this intention as you fall asleep. Visualize yourself inside a lucid dream. Feel yourself there, as if it's already happening. But wait, you might say, aren't these just fantasies? Can't the brain trick me? Yes, the brain is incredibly cunning, but that's precisely the training. You learn to recognize its games. You become the observer. You control your internal computer. This isn't just a dream. It's your personal simulator for consciousness exploration. And remember, this is your personal expedition. You are the explorer, not a passive spectator. Don't be afraid to experiment, but be mindful of your sensations. After all, even the most experienced mountaineers always study the map and weather conditions before attempting a new peak. Your dreams are a similarly boundless, yet still uncharted world. And every time you become aware in a dream, you open another door to your personal portal, becoming that very Indiana Jones we spoke of. Are you ready to embark on this journey? It was a distant, ancient age, about 2,300 years ago. In ancient China, somewhere in a quiet province, a philosopher named Zhuangzi lay down in the shade of a bamboo grove to nap. The sun dappled on his face, the wind rustled the leaves, and he drifted into sleep. And he dreamt, listen carefully, that he was a light-winged, carefree butterfly, fluttering from flower to flower, savoring every moment. No worries, no philosophical treatises, just the pure joy of flight. We are deriving formulas here, and you're talking about butterflies and dreams. But I'll answer, what if our formulas, our laws of physics, our solid reality, is just a very, very convincing dream? A dream we all collectively share. A dream where certain rules apply. Like in a good video game, you know? You're completely immersed, completing quests, building cities, experiencing dramas. And only when you exit it, when you switch off the console, do you realize it was just a game. But what if there's no off switch? What if each such reality is just the next level, or the next dream? Imagine we are like Matryoshka dolls, where each reality is nested within another. We wake from one dream only to find ourselves in another, slightly more solid, slightly more real at first glance. Is that really so hard to imagine? Look around. How confident are you that what you see, hear, and feel is the sole and absolute truth? What if your waking up is just a change of scenery in the theater of infinite realities? As if you just switched from one channel to another. And on the new channel, a different show, different characters. But the essence is the same. You continue to be a viewer. Your subconscious, perhaps, has known the answer all along. It travels every night. It sees other versions of you, other versions of this world. And perhaps the most important thing we can take from this journey isn't a list of rules for travel, but the ability to start doubting. Doubting what you know. Doubting what you see. Because if dreams are portals, then perhaps our so-called waking is just another step through one of those portals. Into a world that seems familiar to you, but which perhaps is just someone else's incredibly plausible fantasy. So, colleagues, it's time to stop sleeping. And it's time to stop just waking up. Because every new morning isn't just a return. It's a new, exhilarating journey, whether you realize it or not. Welcome to reality, or perhaps to its next incredible version. You choose.